I am literally so excited for you because I'm about to change your entire life. I'm so happy you clicked on this video, not only because I like making money, but also because this is advice I literally would have done anything to have before my 20s. What if I told you I had the secret to make you the most confident person in the room, the happiest person you've ever met in your entire life? I consider myself the happiest person in the entire world. What if I told you could be as pretty as me? I have a secret that will clear up all of your acne. I can restore your inner peace, and the best part is you don't even have to do anything. You have to not do something. That's so easy. It's so easy to not do something, and it's free. It's free. And that is cutting men out of your life for an entire year and focusing on yourself for once and making a life you actually like. Hi, I'm Lexi. I usually do like TikToks and stuff, but I thought I'd bring it over here to YouTube. Please apologies. I've been feeling really insecure after giving you a whole speech about how confident I am. A little bit insecure about talking to a new form of camera. It is really hard to talk long form, and I had an entire panic attack yesterday trying to film said video, so bear with me. Today we are going to be talking about decentering men and how it is the most powerful thing you can ever do to achieve your goals and live a life you actually like. I promise you. If I could give a younger girl any advice, it would be this right here. You are literally a victim, and I don't want you to be one anymore, okay? Wasting your life away thinking about boys when I don't think you even care that much to begin with. If you are a person who finds yourself going from situationship to situationship, you don't really know yourself besides in the context of what the guy you currently likes. You have lots of anxiety, but it's usually just whether or not he texts you back. You are always curious as to like why you attract terrible men, like know when your standard or like your status is coming your way. This video is for you. You are also, I'm gonna be looking into viewfinder, whatever. You are a victim. Do you want to live that way for the rest of your life? You are a victim of a society that is so madly obsessed with making you obsessed with men. I know I do have a bit of a male audience, so this also applies to you as well. I'm gonna kind of go the girl route, but because we are biologically geared to mate, our entire societies are structured around telling you why that's super great and why your whole worth is based on if somebody likes you or not. This is obviously way more the case for women, and that is because it is the only way to get women to still want to date. I was never like boy crazy or any of that, and then I found myself in a position where I was like, I feel so pressured to like have a boyfriend. Like I cannot be the full status of myself, of like the woman I want to be, if I don't also have like a male counterpart to like prove that I am successful in all realms. When you're growing up, boy books are about violence and conquest and power and war. Girl books are about boys. You grew up playing old maid. Old maid. Is there a male equivalent of a crazy cat lady? No, because the only way to get women to procreate is to convince them that they are like a terrible ostracization of society if they don't do it. I saw a thing that said marriage is literally DEI for men, and it's so true. The happiest demographic of people is the single women. So then why is everybody telling you otherwise? Because if they didn't, men would get left behind. I grew up in like a very small suburban society where like there was always subliminal messaging that women had to get married and had to have kids. I never knew another way of life. My mom's friends were always either asking me whether I had a boyfriend or not, or complaining about their husband, and it didn't make sense to me. I noticed that it was so frequent that you would see like a beautiful, talented woman who was super intelligent, super funny, super great, with the most bum-ass man who literally couldn't even start the dishwasher. Male incompetence is permitted and continues because we'd rather have a bum boyfriend than be alone for a minute. And why are you so afraid of being alone? I noticed all of my conversations growing up with the women around me were always about men. Always about boys. I had a lunch table in high school, and we would sit there, and every day at lunch, all anybody could talk about is how much they wanted a boyfriend, to a point where I think people just didn't have anything else to talk about. And I said to myself, I am only going to marry somebody if they are literally the most perfect person in the entire world. I wanted to marry a billionaire. I wanted to marry somebody who was obsessed with working out and self-help, who was super hot and treated me like he genuinely thought I put the moon in the sky. I knew I had a lot of standards for myself, but I was accepting men into my life that were not hitting that standard, being like, well, I don't even like him that much, so it doesn't really matter how he treats me. Yeah, it does. It literally does. If you are that person who is saying like, oh, I don't like him that much, like I don't care what he treats me because he's not the one for me, he's not the one for me, you're never gonna get the one for you. Do you think the one for you would be attracted to somebody who is willing to accept the bare minimum? No. And I said to myself, if I truly want to meet someone who is the most incredible man on the entire planet, I'm going to have to make sure I never accept anything less. And that means being comfortable with being alone for once in my life. I started exploring the idea of emotional celibacy, i.e. cutting men completely out of my life for an entire year. Obviously that means intimate celibacy, but also I wasn't even going to speak to men. I was going to flirt with men at bars. I was obviously going to delete my dating apps, all of that stuff. I wanted them completely void of my entire life so I could sit with myself and be alone for a second. And it changed my entire life. In all of my previous relationships, I had always been so scared to leave because I had not built proper female friendships. I had not been happy being alone. I felt uncomfortable being alone. I felt uncomfortable being bored. That's a big thing. Being bored is worse than being sad. There's this girl from college that I'm on her private, and she literally talks about a new situationship every single week. And I don't mean to slut shame. I think that is literally how society wants to gear women so that we are distracted from reaching our actual goals. If you are so preoccupied with getting a man to like you and finding a husband, you're never gonna start that YouTube channel. You're never gonna have your dream career. And I just want to slap this girl in the face and tell her, your life doesn't have to be like this anymore. She literally posted saying that her mom said she's worried she's never gonna find love. And guess what? You're never going to find love if you are willing to accept like. If you are so lonely, you accept less. I don't think I would have ever described myself as like boy crazy or super obsessed with men, but I had such a deep abandonment wound that I would do like very extreme things to get a guy back. My boyfriend in high school, he broke up with me, and I loved the chase game. I loved the control of getting him to like me again. And I think in this whole process, you have to realize that addictions manifest themselves in all different ways, and most of you are not alcoholics anymore. You're just addicted to situationships. It's time for rehab. Back to the story. There was this visceral feeling in me that was so afraid of being alone because I hadn't built up the friendships that I wanted. I didn't have any hobbies and passions that I liked. I just had him. And that's a really unsafe position to put yourself in. I got out of a situationship in January of last year, and I knew it was my time to actually start achieving the goals that I wanted for myself, and that was decentering men. That was a year of entire celibacy. And going to therapy, because I knew if I was seeking out this like emotional harm in situationship after situationship with people I didn't really like in the first place anyways, I needed a real solution. Don't you want to know what music you actually like when you're not trying to impress a man? What clothes you wear when you don't care about the male gaze? How fun is this outfit? I have great fashion now. I'm not the case a year ago. Don't you want to know how long you actually want to stay at the bar when you're not waiting for a man to show up? Or if you actually even like going out or not, when you're not feeding yourself this fantasy that you're going to meet like the love of your life at the bar? You want to start a TikTok career without being worried what like a man would think of you? Don't you want to be in a place where you only accept the person you really think you deserve? In the first stage of this, you're obviously going to be very incredibly lonely because you have used situationships and men to fill a void in you and distract yourself. Again, it is the same thing as having an addiction. Drinking yourself to sleep every night because you're afraid to face your emotions is the exact same as staying up all night texting a man who does not like you back. You can avoid thinking about your problems. Creativity comes from boredom. Good things come from being alone for a second. Your desperate attempts at distracting yourself and finding forms of escapism is preventing you from becoming the person you want to be. My biggest tip that I can ever give you is develop a passion you actually really like. Something you'd want to do like as a job. Passions and hobbies are very different. My passion is social media. When I started this, I got into TikTok and I was like, I'm going to learn literally every single thing I can about TikTok. I would go to the library for hours at a time. I would just write TikTok ideas. I would research like the best way to like capture somebody's attention, XYZ. I would allot days to getting in full hair and makeup and filming videos and editing videos, and that consumed all of my time, which is a form of escapism, but at least it is creation. It is a way wiser use of your time to spend your time building an empire and something that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning and on making a man like you. Women are being held back right now because we are so busy being obsessed with boys who are ugly and incompetent instead of doing meaningful things with our lives. My boyfriend just texted me. Oh, cute, whatever. Doing something amazing is going to take a huge amount of time. Are you willing to risk that for a man who doesn't wipe? We need the creative mind of every single woman. And we're losing soldiers because you don't have the self-confidence to be alone for a second. We need your poetry. We need your politics. We need your amazing ability to sell houses. I don't care what it is. I am selfish in this endeavor. I need you to drop that man and be alone for a minute so you can write a book that inspires other women. It's time to get to therapy. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think about therapy. You gotta try. Everybody's gotta try. I really think, especially if you're a woman and you have survived a patriarchy, you have issues that are keeping you from being your highest self because you are not brave enough to sit down for 1 minute and talk about yourself. It's so easy to talk about yourself. And don't tell me you've already tried therapy. If you have not tried at least 6 therapists, because most of them suck. Most people get into being therapists because they have issues, so obviously a lot of them are gonna suck. It didn't stop you from believing in love when the first guy sucked. Or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth, or the seventh, or eighth, or ninth, because you're literally addicted to men, sorry. So why is it stopping you from going to therapy? Third, you're gonna get into some hobbies, okay, mama? Passions are different than hobbies. Passions are like lifelong projects that wake you up. Hobbies are like fun little things you like to do. Like I like ikebana. Like I'm learning how to make like the Japanese art of floral arrangements, and it's super cool. You like impale the flowers on a needle and it's gorgeous. It's super fun. I also love going to Pilates. I'm super into health. I'm starting making my own kombucha. You need fun little things that enrich your life, because sleeping, partying, and going to work or school is not a life. Fourth or fifth, I don't remember what we're on. It's time to make some girlfriends. It's time to go make some friends. You're supposed to have friends that you like hanging out with. And if you sit there and you take men out of your life and you sit there with your friend group and you're like, oh my God, I have nothing to talk about. I am so bored. I hate this. I have nothing to talk about besides men. I don't have any men in my life. Either this is a really great opportunity to learn how to start an interesting conversation that doesn't include a man, or maybe you don't even like your friends. And if you cut men out of your life, you'll have a faster time figuring out whose presence you actually hate and despise. If hanging out with your friends and going on a first date, or honestly hanging out with any man, isn't a huge, huge painful decision where you're like, oh, I really want to hang out with my friends, but like, I'm supposed to want to go date people, then you're not doing it right. Then you hate your friends. If you would rather be with a man than your friends, you either hate your friends or you hate yourself. Say it again. You need to learn how to validate yourself, okay? Going on the dating apps is so easy because you can be like, wow, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, I'm pretty. Everyone thinks I'm pretty. Is that really where you're willing to spend your spare time? Think of how much time you spend at work, sleeping, yada, 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 yada. Pick up a notebook and start doing something productive with your time, okay? This is why men are dominating our society right now, because they're not wasting time being obsessed with us. They're making money. After a year of actually enjoying being alone, obviously the man of my dreams just walked into my life, just pranced in, told him all about like the celibacy thing, and he said, that's really funny because I literally just did a year without women. Guess we'd probably still be talking to some losers if I hadn't had the patience to sit alone with my thoughts. This girl. I am more confident than I've ever been in my entire life. I can do hard things. I don't need anybody. I did things all year because I wanted to, not because I was like trying to make a man obsessed with me, whatever. I accomplished my goals on TikTok. It's such an incredible feeling to wake up and not have to worry about whether or not somebody's texting me back. My skin is glowing because guess what I don't have to worry about? A bum. It's like a Taylor Swift quote that's like, I realized some bigger dreams of mine. What was it? I don't know. It's time for you to think a little bit bigger. You can do it. You have the power to be alone. You're gonna be okay, I promise you. I'm gonna hold your hand and say, I promise you, you are going to be okay. You're going to be better than ever. And I know some people will watch this and be like, yeah, hell yeah, girl, I'm gonna do the blah, 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 and then never be able to do it. I'm just gonna shove you down a little flight of stairs real quick. Wait, why? I don't know why I said that, but I'm going to because I believe in you. I actually do believe in you, and I know every single, I was so fed up with so many like adults in my life being like, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a boyfriend? Like, why do you have a boyfriend? Why do you have a boyfriend? Maybe because I really don't want one. Maybe because they're lame. Maybe because they're lame. God or the universe or whoever you believe in gave you the gift of being young, and likely if you're watching this because I attract baddies, beautiful, and you are wasting that, throwing that down the absolute drain because you're afraid of being alone. You don't have to live like that anymore.